Hey everybody, it's Ryan McAllister from the Grumpy Guys Show. Tonight is episode number 5, Reusing Old Stuff. We talk about obnoxious insurance commercials, the downfall of Fox's NASCAR coverage, as well as issues with Google Newsfeed.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another Grumpy Guys Show.
I'm Ryan McAllister.
And I'm Derek McAllister. We've got some good stuff for you tonight. We're going to start out with something that's really been bothering Ryan a bit lately. Go ahead.
Is it just me, or are the most obnoxious commercials on television always coming from insurance companies? Mostly companies like Geico and Liberty Mutual.
Yeah, they seem to be really pushing it.
Yeah.
So much for the little gecko all the time. Now they got all kinds of other crap.
They've been throwing all sorts of crap at the wall since I don't know how long
since the caveman.
And they brought that back.
So easy a caveman can do it.
And they brought that back.
Yeah.
Also, Liberty Mutual and their emu too.
Yeah, the emu's kind of annoying.
Oh my god, yes.
You know, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, not that, the gecko does. I mean, Geico, they're close.
Yeah.
I get that. Well, what the heck's an emu got to do with Liberty Mutual? I mean, come on.
The commercials where the people are in front of the Statue of Liberty, those make more sense.
Yeah, they make a bit of sense. Kind of goofy commercials, like that one with a stupid, I'm a phone, ooh, I'm on vibrate.
Yeah,
Come
or the
on.
wet teddy bears one. That
Yeah.
didn't even make sense.
That I have to agree with you there. That doesn't make any sense at all. Just kind of stupid, but they paid a lot of money for some advertising company to do this, so they got to do it. They got to run them, and of course, they run them to death.
Yep.
Oh, it's really bad when you're seeing the same commercial a year later.
Oh, another insurance company I just thought of that keeps doing this is Progressive.
Yeah, with the whole group of them there. I mean, they're kind of funny because they're picking on each other.
Yeah.
But
They work better than the others.
Yeah, they work a little bit better, but come on.
Because it's a group and they can play off each other.
Yeah. I do like that one that Progressive had, though, where they showed up at that guy's house there that had his basketball hoop fall down on his car. And as they're walking away, she says, "You smell like fish." And the guy who was fishing says, "Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was talking about Jamie." So you get a laugh.
Yeah.
The first 2 or 3 times. After 40 or 50 times seeing the commercial.
Or 60 or
enough.
70.
That's enough.
More than enough.
But, the budgets for these commercials now, they're through the roof. It's ridiculous.
And it's not just insurance commercials, really. All commercials budgets are going through the roof.
Yeah. It used to be, if you spent $5 million, you were getting a Super Bowl ad. Now I can guarantee they're spending $5 million like nothing. And if they got that kind of money, to throw away, why not cut your insurance rates and cut your profits instead of spending $5 million advertising? It just doesn't make sense.
Nope, not really.
But that's the way everything goes now. Let's just throw more money at it. And then they pretend to be nice guys. And, we're giving away this much money for every new policy. We'll give away this much money, up to $100,000. And that up to limit is always in real fine print, and you have to look at it really hard. And you can't pause it well enough to see it, because they put it down in the lower third, and because they know as soon as you pause it, you get that little bar on the bottom that blocks everything on the bottom of the screen, so you can't read it. It's utterly ridiculous.
That's what I hate about TV.
Yeah.
Pause it and you get the bar.
Well, I mean,
Fast forward, bar.
They got to do something so they know it, but I remember back in the VCR days, you fast forward or whatever, it's just a little thing up in the corner, really small, But now they're gonna make a big deal out of it. Oh, look what we did. We had a programmer spend 25 hours doing this, so we got to make sure it's big and prominent. I don't need it to be big and prominent. I just need to be able to see that something's happening. Yeah, well.
Yep.
Just insane.
It is.
So next we're gonna talk about something that's bugging me. It's the Google News feed. Now, anybody who uses an Android phone has, if they're not using a Pixel, they have the option to actually use the Pixel launcher, which makes it so that if you swipe right, you get a news feed, and it's supposed to be customized and personalized based on things that you read a lot, based on, what you've selected that you're interested in.
Right.
Well, here's the problem lately. I had it set up. It was doing great. Lately, I haven't been able to watch my podcast, because normally I'm watching my podcast while I'm working. Mostly, it's just listening. Every once in a while, one of the hosts will do something that's only there if you're watching the video. So when that happens, I can back it up a little bit and see it. Well, I haven't been able to do that because I've got some stuff I really have to focus on. So I'm listening to music.
Right.
So now my Google News feed is filled with what? Not my news. It's filled with music. I don't need to know that, when Robert Plant dies, he's going to have songs that have never been released before released. I don't care about that.
Who the hell even is that?
You don't know who Robert Plant is?
No.
You like a lot of his music.
I do.
Lead singer for Led Zeppelin.
Oh. I'm not that well educated as far as music goes.
Yeah, but over half...
I never took a music class in high school.
Oh, that doesn't mean anything. Over half of my news feed is filled up with these little snippets about all these rock stars and these rock bands. Oh, they're planning their tour. Good for them. When they get rid of their walkers and they come on stage, let me know. Seriously, I like older music and everything, but some of these guys are losing their voices.
Really?
It's not like really, really losing their voice. They just don't have the range that they had back in the 80s, 90s, even the early 2000s. They're getting older. All the drugs and cigarettes are catching up to them.
An example of this was shown Sunday with Sammy Hagar during the NASCAR All-Star race.
Oh, yeah, that was horrible. I was in the other room and I heard that, and I said, "Who's murdering I Can't Drive 55?" And they shouted back, "It's Sammy Hagar." I said, "No, it's not." Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, my goodness. That is horrible. He sounded so bad. I can't believe he actually got up on stage. Other than, he's getting paid, so...
Why not?
Yeah, somebody's going to pay him for it, and I don't get it. These bands, you get a lot of them, like Journey. They parted ways with Steve Perry. That should have been the end of Journey. But no, they couldn't do that. They went and they got somebody from a cover band who's good, don't get me wrong, but he just doesn't have the range of Steve Perry. He can't hit the highs. It's just, there's a distinct Steve Perry sound. So these bands, when they fall apart, they need to just freaking give up. Judas Priest did the same thing. They got Tim the Ripper, whatever his name is there, and I listened to one song and I was like, that's not Judas Priest. It's just not the same. They should have ended it. And they recently got rid of one of the guitarists, KK Downing. They got rid of him. That should be it. Should be done. Unless they get the original group back, it should be done.
And even then.
Well, at this point, Rob Halford still sounds pretty good. Not great, but, and there's some people who are doing just fine, like the Doobie Brothers. I heard something from them on YouTube during the pandemic, and I just couldn't believe it. You know, they were doing it. They recorded it. You see them. You know it's them singing. And he sounded really, really good. It's hard to believe the guy's he's close to 70.
Really?
It's hard to believe. His voice sounds the same as it did. You know, but get some of these other bands and they just keep going on. You know, AC/DC is another example. Oh, Brian Johnson can't sing anymore because he's going deaf, and if he goes to a concert, he's going to lose his hearing. Okay. Or maybe it was his voice, I don't remember, but so they bring in Axl Rose. So you go from a really raspy bar kind of voice to a you know, it's just ugh. I couldn't listen. There's no way. I'd be really upset if I had tickets to an AC/DC concert and Axl Rose walked out on stage instead of Brian Johnson. Goodbye. Give me my money back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not that I don't like Axl Rose. I like him in Guns N' Roses. But that's it. Guns N' Roses. He's the voice of Guns N' Roses. He's not the voice of AC/DC. So anyway, you know, it bugs me. I got a lot of my news stories from the Google feed. You see, you know, that shows you the headlines. Something catches your attention. It's easy to click and open up the article. You know, and it tells you right on the bottom what the source is.
Yeah.
So you're not looking and figuring, oh, well, I'm getting real news and find out that it's The Onion. You know, or Fox News or some other crap like that. You find out that, okay, it's New York Times, so yeah, it's probably a decent article.
Somewhat. You know, you're still limited based on what we've talked about before with not actually doing reporting. Yep. And just desperate to get the story out. Yeah, just push the story out as quickly as possible. But, you know, what are you going to do? I mean, just ridiculous. So we mentioned NASCAR. What do you got? What do you got with NASCAR? What's your beef? Speaking of NASCAR, I have had a problem with Fox Sports coverage of NASCAR racing this year. I have noticed a big downgrade in quality. Some of it I mostly noticed during the Coca-Cola 600 broadcast, which was the same day as NBC's coverage of the Indianapolis 500, which was absolutely fantastic, by the way. For example, Fox does not play up all the sorts of drama during the race, like NBC did with Indianapolis. For example, during Indianapolis... For example, during Indianapolis, the 500, Graham Rahal hit the wall coming out of pit road after blowing a tire. And the broadcast booth was going nuts, talking about how this was so horrible and for him, and he hasn't won a race in forever, and this is going to hurt his championship chances. Meanwhile, on lap 10 of the Coca-Cola 600, Ross Chastain has some sort of problem, I can't even remember, and Fox doesn't even mention it. Well, he's not one of the big drivers, right? Well, not really, but Graham Rahal isn't really that big of a driver either anymore. Yeah, but there's a lot fewer drivers for Indy than there are for NASCAR, isn't there? Well, in the 500, not much. The Coca-Cola 600 has 40 cars. The Indy 500 had only 33. So that's not that much less. It's like 7 less. Yeah, but how many regular drivers are there for Indy racing? That's what I mean. Oh, regular? Like 25? Yeah, so it's a big deal. Where with NASCAR, okay, yeah, they've got 40-some that race every week. 36 every week plus. Right. Well, 36 every week. But if somebody decides, well, I can't drive for whatever reason, it's easy for them to pull somebody from one of the other series and put them in the car. Yeah. You know, it's not so easy to do with Indy, is it? Yeah, with Indy, you gotta just look for whoever's available.
Yeah, and that makes it.
And that reminds me of Felix Rosenquist, who crashed. Can't remember if Saturday, not Sunday. He crashed in the first day of the Detroit Grand Prix, and his team, McLaren, got Oliver Askew to substitute only because Askew was there. For no other reason. They had just fired Askew last year at the end of the season.
So the guy's so desperate to race again that he goes and races for the team that fired him.
No, he's already racing in sports cars now, but hey, he was there. And McLaren was just desperate for a substitute that they called him back in.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, they get desperate when somebody gets hurt. Mm-hmm. Unlike NASCAR, who there's a ton of people who drive that.
Yeah, they got 30 other people in one of the lower series alone.
Yeah, and there's what, at least 2 other series, right?
2 that are national, yeah.
Yeah, so it's easy to pull people out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that kind of bugs me with NASCAR, with the whole, okay, well, you're going to drive this one, and then you're going to drive that one, all in the same weekend. That doesn't seem fair to me.
I agree. It's not really fair. Especially for the teams that spend way more money. For example, Joe Gibbs Racing. When one of their drivers, like Kyle Busch or Denny Hamlin, goes down into the lower series, that's not fair at all.
Yeah.
To the regulars.
They're getting extra laps.
They're getting extra laps for Sunday.
Yeah.
Plus, they're going up against inexperienced drivers.
Yeah, that's what it's. I thought that's what the lower things were supposed to be about. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is with like baseball and football and basketball. You do those lower series because the players aren't as good. They're up and coming. You just got out of college. They need some experience.
Yeah.
Well,
the truck series is also for 40 or 50-year-old drivers who couldn't really make it in higher levels, too.
Yeah, well, you got to put truck in quotes because there's nothing truck about them.
Well, there's nothing stock about a stock car.
Yeah, I know.
And it hasn't been like that since before you were born.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like about people complaining that NASCAR isn't stock anymore.
Well, the problem is, they changed that because it's supposed to.
Was it stock when you were watching back in the 90s when Earnhardt and Gordon were winning everything? No. At least the stock cars now look like actual cars.
Sort of.
At least from the front end they do. Back in the 90s they looked nothing like an actual car you could buy in the showroom.
Well, the whole thing is, they did that so that even the playing field, because you had people who were spending a lot of money and they were getting specialized vehicles that weren't actually stock.
Yeah.
But who wins all the time? You never see these little teams win.
Exactly.
And why? Because they don't have the money.
Except for once in a while on a track like Daytona or Talladega.
Yeah,
which
where
is
they
an
get
absolute
lucky.
Crapshoot.
Yeah, they get lucky, and those races have a lot of crashes in them, which means that gives a smaller team a chance as long as they get through the crash.
Yep.
But that's the whole thing.
But usually they have second-hand parts from a bigger team that they had to hand them down from last year.
Yeah, and they're not actually doing anything special with them. They're old parts, and they just do the best they can to clean them up, but.
Heck, there are some chassis that are out there racing every Sunday that are from 2009.
Yeah, and you wonder how they pass inspection.
Because they put modern bodies on the car.
And the body is only a part of the safety, though.
Oh, yeah.
The chassis is the biggest part of the safety. I mean, if the thing just falls apart because it's rusted or whatever, that's dangerous. That's more dangerous than anything else.
It's not that it's rusted. It's most of these old chassis are pretty well taken care of.
Well, yeah, everything is because it's got to be so expensive.
It is. That's what next year's car is supposed to do, is lower the cost.
Oh, yeah, that's just what the teams need. Let's make more profit. like
That's
they're
what
not
sponsors
making
are
enough.
for.
Like they're not making enough money, you know? And then what are they going to do? They're going to raise ticket prices because they can. Well, we have to. We're not making enough money.
Mm-hmm.
You're making plenty of money. Look at how much you're making off a single beer. I'm sure a beer at one of these races costs about $6 or $7.
Oh, yeah.
And, that beer, it's only going to actually cost them $1 or $2.
Yep.
And then 25 cents at most for the cup.
And think about merchandise sales, too.
Yeah.
I could get at least they're cheaper at the track than they are online. I've seen die casts online go for like $60, $50-$60. I can get them at the track for $10, but I can get them at Walmart for $5.
Yeah, and it's all about just, I bought this at the track.
Yep.
And probably what you're seeing online is collectors.
No, it's newer die casts. On, like, die cast dealer sites.
Well, that's the thing. You get these dealers that go out and they buy as many as they can, and then you get people like you that actually play with the damn cars.
Well, not anymore.
Yeah, but, you did.
Mm-hmm.
And that just...
ever-loving crap out of them, too.
That just kills the value. You get these collectors, they go out, they leave them in the package, and then they can turn them around and sell them for a profit. But,
yep.
To me, that's just not worth it because it's so rare to find something like that's worth something 10 years from now.
Yeah.
And who wants to hold on to something for 10 years and never use it?
I agree.
It's like back in the early 90s when The Lion King came out with the toys at Burger King. Holy cow, it was insane. People were arguing and upset because, you'd run out of one and they wouldn't, I wanted that.
Before Disney got back and partnered with McDonald's.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually why McDonald's spent the money
they were back then
to get it.
Back then, I believe Disney was just going from chain to chain.
They were going to whoever was going to give them the most money. Mm-hmm. And like I said, that's why McDonald's decided to step up and pay them because Burger King literally could not keep them in stock.
And then in the late 2000s, like around the time the economy crashed, Disney and McDonald's split up, and now they're back together again.
Yeah, I doubt they really truly split up.
Yeah, well,
the big problem is Disney's having a hard time actually getting something that's getting people excited.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not, they're not pushing out movies like they did. And the ones that they do, they spend so much money going over the top with CGI that it's ridiculous.
It's not just Disney in that front.
No, it's not. Not at all. It's every place.
It's the one or two studios that aren't owned by Disney.
Yeah. And you can't watch a movie now where the CGI just isn't obvious.
Mm-hmm.
These actors, they don't know how to act anymore. All they know how to do is voiceovers.
Yep.
And, don't get me wrong. There's skill with voiceover, but that's all they do. They can't do anything else. They can't actually act. I had heard when 4K video first started coming out that these actors had to actually relearn things because every little tiny mistake was visible to everybody. So they had to actually learn how to act all over again. But, now they've got so much computer-generated graphics, it's easy to fix everything.
Yep.
Oh, you flip somebody off, no big deal. We'll fix your hand.
Yep.
Nobody will see it.
Photoshop.
It's
our
not
old
even,
friend.
Yeah, it's not even that. It's just for an editor now. It's just a quick little, quick couple of swipes on a few frames of video, and it's gone. Nobody knows.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's so over the top that movies they rarely interest me anymore.
Well, for me, if it's similar to something that that I've seen in the past, sure, I kind of have an interest in it.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's all based on nostalgia.
Yeah, the problem is the writers just they can't write the way that they used to because everything's been done. So now all they're doing is they're reworking old movies and
exactly,
throwing in CGI and making them really ridiculous.
Disney specifically turning literally their entire animated library into a live-action version of itself.
Yeah, that's just nuts.
Yep.
Insane. All right, folks. I think that's going to about do it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you subscribe, pass it around to your friends. Drop us some notes and let us know what's on your mind, and maybe we'll throw it in our next episode.
We'll see you next time. Good night.
See ya.